Fanbyte bites the dust. We're going to talk about this, that gaming journalists are finding fewer and fewer places to call home, that they're losing their jobs in droves. The venture capital has run out. The advertising rates are dropping, and a lot of companies are realizing that these bloggers aren't really bringing anything to the table. They're just costing them money, driving away advertisers, driving away views. And here we go. Fanbyte laying off almost all of its staff. We're going to talk about this before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. And check out clownshishtv.com, Clownfish TV. We are in the process of actually ramping things up right now. If you go out to clownshishtv.com, we have a lot of plans for the website. Just trying to get all my ducks in a row here before we move forward, but definitely check it out. So we're going to be hiring when other people are laying off. And guess what? If you worked for some of these activist websites, I'm not going to hire you. I'm not. If you were out there attacking fans or stirring the shit just for the sake of stirring the shit, you know, complaining about Trump and shit in a review for a PlayStation 5, I'm not going to hire you. I'm sorry. I'm not. Let's talk about Fanbyte. I got to give a hat tip to Yamatora1, who tagged me in on this. Tencent is laying off nearly all of its staff at gaming site Fanbyte. Now, layoff season is in full swing. Lots of people getting laid off. You know, well, we talked about G4. You know, G4, their whole bunch of issues with the G4, but it's not just G4. Kotaku and Polygon have been laying people off as well. Again, the venture capital's running out, the advertising's running out, tech companies are folding, and they're realizing that these blogs, they were supposed to basically be part of like the marketing arm of the tech companies, and marketing and PR and media, that stuff is always the first to get cut, right? I know this as somebody who worked for ad agencies and who worked as a marketing manager. Those jobs are literally the first ones to get cut. People stop spending money on advertising, stop spending money on promotion. And I did a video on this last month that people were complaining that their entire industry is dying, that esports journalism and video game journalism was dying. It's dying because you killed it. I mean, if you were actually bringing views, you wouldn't be dying. But let's look at this article again coming from MSN. Tencent lays off nearly all of its staff at gaming site Fanbyte. The first rule of conducting layoffs is not to be a jerk about. Yeah, Frosk. The second rule is to make sure the social media manager you just laid off doesn't still have access to your accounts. Today, Tencent violated both of those rules as it laid off nearly all of the editorial staff at Fanbyte, an online gaming publication. Tencent is the world's biggest gaming company and the most valuable company in China, holding a stake in dozens of international game studios, including Riot, Epic Games, Roblox, Discord, Pocket Gems, you name it. Tencent also owns WeChat and Tencent Music. After posting its first revenue decline ever last quarter, Tencent laid off about 5% of its workforce, impacting 5,000 people. A month later, it looks like Tencent is still making cuts. I have some degree of sympathy for burgeoning startups that are navigating a challenging market and make the painstaking decision to cut jobs, but Tencent is a mega company that earned over $88 billion in revenue last year. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. These companies are using the downturn to get rid of problematic employees in divisions that don't make money. It does not matter. Ask Netflix how that went. The first thing they cut, their blog, that Tudum blog, yeah, they were there for a couple weeks. They cut them. Warner Brothers, what did they do? They cut CNN Plus. You know, sure, its valuation has taken a downturn after it almost reached an unfathomable $1 trillion last year, but is laying off some writers really the answer to these problems? Yeah. Yes, it is, because they probably wanted to get rid of them before, and now they have a really good case too. Like, hey, look, we had a bump in the road. See ya. I see a lot of empathy going out to everyone who was fired today, but let's please also spare some thought for the people who had to fire everyone one by one over the course of countless hours, drawing out the delicious psychological torture. Yeah, it's hard. I've had to do it. I've had to do it before, you know. According to tweets by Merritt K, one of the final remaining staff at Fanbyte, the layoffs included the site's editor-in-chief, head of media, features editor, social editor, news editor, graphic designer, podcast producer, and several writers. Damn. Tencent did not immediately respond to a request for comment about the layoffs. As promised, these layoffs were handled so terribly It almost makes Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, look good. Fanbyte employees were laid off slowly one by one over the course of several hours. At least, they didn't just call them into a Zoom chat and say, hey, if you're here, this is your last day. See ya. There's nothing like sitting alone in your apartment, waiting to find out if you still have a job, watching as your coworkers tweet that they're looking for new work. This guy here, I do firmly believe that the future of games media lies in independent outlets like Clownfish TV, Into the Spine, Uppercut RPG site. And so, no, YouTubers, independent journalists who kick the asses of sites like G4. How can anyone be expected to truly care about the work they put out if their job could disappear tomorrow because of gross corporate negligence? One extremely small silver lining, though, was that the social media manager never got laid off while she still had access to the Fanbyte social media accounts. She basically gave Tencent the middle finger, and after years of watching writers I love lose their jobs for reasons far beyond their control, I'm living for it. Wow, I love looking at the fanbyte.com account on the popular social media app Instagram. Tencent made $35 billion in net income last year, and Sand laid off almost every member of child company Fanbyte. Please support the staff elsewhere. You're fired. You're fired, for sure. For several hours, the Fanbyte Instagram bio read, Tencent made $35 billion net income, laid off almost every member. Forgot the keys. The account is currently sporting the display name, Forgot the Keys. Ah, sweet revenge. You know what else would be sweeter? If the biggest media companies in the world stopped gutting good publications to save a couple $100,000 a year, which is only about a fraction of a percent of their net income anyway. Okay, so this was originally published on TechCrunch. The reason they're so salty about it is they're next. A lot of these journalists know they're next, and they don't understand the economics of running a lot of these websites. If they bring no value, they could pay for themselves, but that's not a good enough reason. I do believe, I think the future of, fan publications definitely is with independent companies, because these big corporations, your blog brings nothing to Tencent. There's not enough revenue. If it's not driving people to buy their games or whatever, it's not driving any meaningful advertising revenue, there's no point. Now, to a fan, it might mean something like, hey, we can run our own site. We might make a couple $100,000 a year, and we can pay people something. We can't pay them as much as BuzzFeed or whatever, but those companies were living on venture capital. It was all smoke and mirrors. It's all been a lie. You guys came into the workforce and you got a job, and your job is a lie. I hate to break it to you. This is a guy who worked in newspapers. I worked on websites for years. I'm probably older than you if you're listening to this video. I've been around the block a few times. I've had to hire and fire people. I've started companies. I've worked with venture capitalists before. I'm telling you, most of the modern day journalists that have come into nerd websites, geek websites, pop culture news sites, comic sites, video game sites, whatever, they're younger. And they came in when the venture capital ran freely, and now it's gone. This is the first economic downturn a lot of these writers have experienced. They would realize that writing is not the most lucrative career. Being a journalist is not the most lucrative career. It's fun to do if you really care about this stuff, but you're not going to get rich doing it. And the people who run these sites don't get rich doing it. The margins are very thin. You make enough money in advertising to pay for your hosting and to pay your writers something. And that's basically it. If you're getting paid $50,000 to $100,000 a year, it's because the money is coming from someplace else. It's coming from merchandise sales. It's coming from venture capital. It's coming from investors. And that's what was going on with BuzzFeed. That's why they were out there, trying to rustle up more venture capital. They have 5 to 8 years to turn a profit. Most of these companies never do. And I'm sorry, you have to find out this way. I'm really sorry you have to find out this way, but your job is a lie. Your job is unnecessary. Being a video game journalist is not a necessary job. And these companies don't have to keep you on. If you got a video game company that doesn't see the value in having a video game blog, what does that tell you? Like, they don't even want to spend the extra, whatever fraction of a percent of their revenue to keep this blog running because it's not worth it. It's not driving sales. It's not doing anything for them. It's not to be mean. It's just they're looking at it, they're like, there is no point. People are going to buy our games with or without you. And you're a waste of time. It's a waste of money. A lot of you are probably out there on social media. Actually, their social media manager doing what she did proves why they probably fired these people. To do something like that. Like, oh my God, I got laid off, so I'm gonna go out to Instagram and destroy their Instagram. Some companies would sue you for that. They would. It would actually be in your employment terms. If you did something like that and you defaced company property on the way out, they would effing sue you for it. So you better hope Tencent doesn't sue you, because I don't think you've got the money to fight with Tencent. So here we go, guys. This is the utter state of gaming journalism. It's going to get worse. Just wait till they shut down Polygon. Wait till they shut down Kotaku. Why do you think all these journalists are scrambling to unionize? Because at least then they get a buyout. They get a cushion, they get a parachute. This is the real world, baby. I don't know what to tell you. It's tough. It's tough out there. And this is your first taste of it. I can tell the way these people are complaining. This is their first taste of the real world and how business actually works. So I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.